Welcome to the deep dive. Ready to jumpstart your dream business?
Let's do it.
Okay, so today's deep dive is all about getting a head start on launching a successful business. We've got this awesome article from Forbes Coaches Council. It's called 14 Key Steps New Entrepreneurs Should Take when Starting a Business.
It's packed with insights from entrepreneurs who've been there, done that.
Basically, it's like our cheat sheet for success.
Exactly. And I gotta say, it's refreshing to see an article that goes beyond just the tactics.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it really emphasizes building a solid foundation first, like starting with your why.
Makes sense. It's not just about wanting more money or freedom.
Right. It dives deep into that, having a strong why beyond the surface stuff. Like if your main motivation is just money.
You're saying maybe a side hustle's better fit.
Maybe. Or if it's freedom you're after.
Then what?
Well, maybe there are other paths to explore. You really got to ask yourself those tough questions.
So true.
Entrepreneurship, it demands a deeper motivation to really thrive. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Totally. It's like, even if you do become financially successful,
But your heart's not in it.
you might end up feeling lost.
Exactly. And they even say straight up, entrepreneurship is not for everyone, which is so important. You got to be honest with yourself about your personality, your risk tolerance,
Oh, that good.
all of it.
I'm thinking about those personality tests, introvert or extrovert.
Oh, yeah.
But this is like figuring out if you're cut out for entrepreneurship, that unique demand.
I like that. And speaking of understanding yourself,
What's next?
understanding your market, the article is big on research.
Research. Not just like knowing who your ideal customer is.
Yes, but that too. Knowing them inside and out, but also competition, market trends,
Wow.
even regulations, everything. They even talk about deep customer empathy,
Okay, that sounds intense.
right? They say empathy is a critical skill for being able to anticipate and effectively address customer needs and pain points.
Whoa, that's a powerful quote.
It is.
So we're not just talking demographics or buying habits here.
Nope. This is about really connecting on a deeper level
Wow. So once you've got that deep understanding,
of your customer and the market,
then what?
you start crafting that value proposition.
Which is,
What problem does your business solve? Why should customers choose you?
got it. So basically, figuring out your unique selling point. What makes your business stand out?
You got it. And they actually give specific steps.
Oh, tell me.
They say, find out who your ideal customers are. Understand the market for your product or service.
Okay, makes sense.
In addition, get this, research your competition to see what makes you unique.
Smart.
After you gather this information, listen to this, you need to develop a marketing strategy to reach your clients.
So many steps.
Right?
It's not just about having a cool idea.
Nope. You got to understand the market, your customer, and how to reach them. And don't forget about the competition.
True.
Knowing their strengths and weaknesses
Helps you.
helps you pinpoint your own advantages.
It all sounds a bit overwhelming, to be honest.
You're right, and that leads us to a super important point the article makes.
What's that?
Seeking guidance and support.
Oh, interesting. You don't have to do it all alone, right?
Not at all. There are tons of resources to help,
I bet.
like finding a mentor, which I totally see the value in.
It's like having an experience guide.
Right. But what really caught my eye
Yeah.
was the advice about interviewing people in your field.
Tell me more.
They had this story about someone who interviewed like a dozen successful people in their field.
Wow. Can you imagine the insights?
I know, right? It's like a direct line to wisdom. You're getting advice firsthand.
Brilliant. I love that idea. What other support systems did they mention?
Well, industry associations, for one.
What do those do?
Networking, mentorship programs, training, you name it.
Sounds amazing. Like a built-in support system.
Exactly. And then there's this thing called business incubators.
Okay, I have to admit, I'm not really sure what that is.
Oh, it's fascinating. Imagine a shared workspace specifically for startups. They often have mentorship programs, workshops,
Nice.
even access to investors sometimes. And then there's this thing called hot desking.
hot desking.
Yeah, where you can rent a desk for a day or a week.
Oh, I see.
It's a great way to connect with other entrepreneurs.
Sounds like a super valuable resource.
It is. And it really highlights that you don't have to go it alone.
This is all great, but isn't there also a certain level of personal readiness required?
Oh, you're so right. And the article tackles that head on.
Really?
They ask, are you ready for the volatility and uncertainty of entrepreneurship?
No, that's a big question.
Right. It's easy to get caught up in the excitement, but it's not always going to be smooth sailing.
Definitely.
They even talk about the impact it can have,
Yeah.
your health, your relationships, if you're not ready.
That's a good point. We've all heard those stories about burnout.
Exactly. So the article emphasizes self-awareness, resilience.
Yeah,
You need to know your limits,
absolutely.
be able to handle stress,
Yeah.
bounce back from setbacks.
It's not just about the business plan. It's about you.
You got it. It's more like a marathon than a sprint, you know?
Totally. You need to pace yourself.
Exactly. And just like in a marathon,
Support is key.
huge, whether it's a mentor, a coach, your network.
Or even just friends and family who get it.
Yeah, having that support system makes all the difference.
It's like having your own cheering section.
Totally. And you know, it brings us back to that don't reinvent the wheel idea.
True.
Seek out that guidance, you know?
It can save so much heartache.
It really can.
And speaking of maps and compasses,
Oh, you're talking about business training.
I am. They stressed that a lot, didn't they?
Big time. No matter how innovative your idea is.
You still need the fundamentals.
You got it. Sales, financials,
Yeah.
record keeping,
All of it.
all of it.
They even said, play small with a lemonade stand before you go big.
I loved that.
Such a good analogy.
Yeah.
Master the basics first.
Exactly. It's like building a house.
Gotta have a solid foundation.
You said it. Otherwise, the whole thing crumbles.
Exactly. This has been so insightful already.
It has, hasn't it?
We've covered so much ground, but there's still more to come.
There is. And what's really standing out to me is how much the article focuses on the human side of things.
The human element.
Exactly. It's not just about the numbers and strategies.
Tell me more about that.
Let's do it, but after a quick break.
Okay, so we were talking about that human element of entrepreneurship.
The emotional side, right?
Yeah. I'm super curious to hear more about what the article had to say.
They really go deep on it. And it's often overlooked, I think.
You think so?
Yeah, it's easy to get caught up in the excitement of launching a business, but the reality is
It can be tough.
it can be really tough mentally and emotionally.
Yeah, you're constantly facing uncertainty, making big decisions.
Dealing with setbacks, it takes a toll.
It must. And the article actually warns about that, right?
They do.
Yeah.
If you're not prepared for all that stress, all that uncertainty,
It can impact your personal life.
it can. Your health, your relationships, everything.
That's heavy. But it's true. We hear those stories about burnout.
All the time.
So what's the key? What do they say?
Self-awareness, for one, and resilience.
Okay, break those down for me.
Knowing your limits, being able to handle stress, bouncing back when things go wrong.
So it's not just about having a good idea or even a solid plan
It's about having the mental and emotional strength.
to handle whatever comes your way.
Exactly. Like I said before, it's a marathon, not a sprint.
Right. You got to pace yourself.
To the long haul.
Yeah.
And just like in a marathon, you know,
Wow.
having that support system can make all the difference.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
A mentor, a coach, a network of other entrepreneurs.
Even just friends and family who understand.
Yes, having people to lean on.
It's like having your own cheering section
I like that. And it actually goes back to that point we made earlier.
about not reinventing the wheel.
That's the one. Reach out to people who've been there.
Get their advice.
Exactly. Learn from their mistakes.
Okay, so we've talked about the emotional side, the support system.
What else?
Let's circle back to business training.
Ah, yes, the nitty-gritty.
They really emphasize that. Like, no matter how good your idea is.
You need those fundamentals.
Right. Sales, marketing, finance, operations, legal, the whole 9 yards.
A whole shebang.
They even said, play small with a lemonade stand before you go big. Remember that?
Oh, I loved that analogy.
So good. Master those basics first.
It's like building a house. You need that strong foundation.
Otherwise, the whole thing collapses.
Exactly. And that brings us back to research. Not just understanding your market, but the whole business landscape.
The rules of the game, so to speak.
Exactly. Legal stuff, taxes, the financial reality, all of it.
Did they also mention some specific resources?
They did. SCORE, the Chamber of Commerce, SBA program.
Oh, yeah, those are great. They offer so much guidance.
They do. And they often have experienced people on staff, you know, entrepreneurs who have been there.
So you're getting advice from the best.
The best. And don't forget about online resources, too.
There's so much out there.
Blogs, podcasts, forums, online courses, you name it.
It's like a whole entrepreneurial universe online.
It really is. And the point the article makes is you're not alone in this.
There are so many people who've walked this path before us.
And we can learn from them.
That's the key, right? Leverage that collective wisdom.
Exactly. Avoid those common pitfalls, you know.
Makes sense. But even with all this knowledge, all this support,
There's one more thing.
what's that?
You got to take action. They talked about that learning by doing approach, remember?
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Experimenting, iterating, adapting as you go.
They even gave that specific advice about making one decision each day.
And then reflecting on it, iterating on it.
I love that. It's about progress, not perfection. It's a good reminder for new entrepreneurs who might be feeling overwhelmed.
For sure. It's okay to start small. Experiment.
Make mistakes.
Make mistakes. Actually, the article says that embracing imperfection, seeing failure as part of the process, it's crucial.
Crucial. It's not about avoiding failure.
It's about learning from it.
Exactly. Which brings us to another biggie. Resilience.
Okay, tell me more about that. What does resilience look like for an entrepreneur?
Bouncing back from those setbacks, pushing through challenges.
Staying positive, even when things are tough.
Exactly. Remember what they said about the emotional roller coaster?
Oh yeah, the ups and downs.
It's a wild ride.
Yeah,
And having that mental and emotional strength
to handle it all.
is key. It's like having a strong core, you know?
I like that analogy.
Both physically and mentally. You need it to withstand the pressure.
And I guess having a strong why helps with that, right?
It does. It gives you that drive to keep going.
Like a guiding star when you feel lost.
Perfectly said. And remember, you don't have to do it alone.
That's so important. We keep coming back to that.
It is, because it's easy to get caught up in that lone wolf mentality.
But collaboration, community, they're powerful.
So powerful. Which again brings us back to not reinventing the wheel. Learn from those who've done it before.
Exactly. And speaking of learning,
What?
let's talk about value propositions.
Okay, remind me what that is again.
It's like a clear statement of what your business does, why people should choose you.
Like an elevator pitch, but for your whole business.
Exactly. It's about communicating your value, what makes you unique.
And why is that so important? There are so many businesses out there.
Think about it. Consumers have tons of choices. Your value proposition is what makes you stand out.
It's that thing that makes you irresistible to your customer.
You got it. But it takes work. You got to understand your market, your competition.
Really know your stuff.
Know your stuff.
So it's not just about having a great product or service.
It's about knowing how it fits into the bigger picture.
Solving a problem, meeting a need.
That's where the magic happens, when you can create something that not only fuels your passion, but
Helps others.
helps others. That's when you know you're on the right track.
It's like finding your purpose.
Yeah.
And that's what makes entrepreneurship so powerful.
It's not just a business. It's something more.
Absolutely. This deep dive has been amazing so far.
So insightful.
We've covered the practical stuff, the emotional stuff.
The whole journey.
It feels like there's just so much more we could unpack, you know?
Oh, for sure. Starting a business is a journey with so many layers.
It really is. But I think we've touched on some of the most important ones, right? The practical and the emotional.
Absolutely. And especially that why. We keep coming back to that.
It's so essential. Like, it's not just about wanting to be your own boss.
Or making a ton of money.
Right. It's got to be deeper than that.
It has to be. It's about creating something you believe in, something that aligns with your values.
It's about making a difference.
Exactly. And that's what I find so inspiring about entrepreneurship.
I do. It's that chance to build something from scratch, something that matters.
And leave your mark on the world.
But it's not always glamorous, right?
Definitely not. There are going to be challenges, setbacks, those ups and downs we talked about.
It's a roller coaster, for sure.
It is. But the rewards, they can be amazing, both personally and professionally.
And I think that article we've been discussing, 14 Key Steps,
Yeah.
it really captures all of that.
It does. It's a fantastic resource for anyone who's even thinking about starting a business.
A roadmap, almost.
Yeah, I like that. It lays it all out, the good and the bad.
And one thing they really emphasized that stuck with me is seeking guidance.
Oh, yeah. Having that support system is huge.
They were big on that.
Yeah.
Like, you don't have to do it all alone.
Not at all. There are so many resources out there.
Mentors, industry groups, those incubators we talked about,
Online communities,
Yeah.
even just reaching out to people you admire.
just asking for advice.
Exactly. Most successful entrepreneurs, they're happy to help.
It's like having a whole team of cheerleaders in your corner.
I love that. And it brings us back to that key point, not reinventing the wheel.
Right. Learn from others' experiences. Avoid their mistakes.
Exactly. So much wisdom out there just waiting to be tapped into. True. Okay, so for anyone listening who's feeling inspired to take the leap to start their own thing.
What advice would we give them?
Ooh, good question. I'd say trust your gut. Believe in your vision.
And don't be afraid to ask for help.
Yes. build that support network.
And remember, there's no one right way to do this.
It's about finding your own path.
Your own rhythm. And don't be afraid to fail.
Fail.
Yeah, failure's not the opposite of success.
It's part of the journey.
Exactly.
Mm.
So embrace it. Learn from it.
And never give up on your dreams.
That's the spirit.
Well said. So to wrap things up, we highly recommend checking out that full article from Forbes Coaches Council, 14 Key Steps New Entrepreneurs Should Take When Starting a Business. It's a great starting point.
It is. And for all our listeners out there,
We're cheering you on.
keep learning, keep growing, and keep diving deep.
That's it for this deep dive. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next time.